I signed divorce papers for $3 million. The Korean Mafia boss who handed me that check? Yeah, he was my husband. But here's the thing nobody saw coming. Not him, not his enemies, not even me. 6 months after I walked away with that money, a DNA test landed on his desk. And suddenly, the most dangerous man in Seoul was on his knees in my tiny New York apartment, begging me to tell him the truth about the baby I never told him I was carrying. But plot twist? The baby wasn't even the biggest secret I was hiding. Wait, before I tell you how a one-night stand with a mafia boss turned into the messiest love story you've ever heard, help me hit 10,000 views. Smash the subscribe button, hit like, and stay with me. Because the DNA results you're about to hear destroyed a criminal empire. Now, let me take you back to where this chaos started. The first time I met Kong Min-jun, he had blood on his Armani suit and murder in his eyes. Not exactly the meet-cute you write home about. I was bartending at an upscale lounge in Seoul, one of those places where the whiskey costs more than my rent and everyone pretends not to notice when someone gets dragged out the back door. I'd been in Korea for 3 months, teaching English by day and slinging drinks by night, trying to save enough to pay off my student loans before I turned 40. He walked in like he owned the place. Correction, he did own the place. I just didn't know it yet. Whiskey. Neat. Don't water it down, he said in English, his accent smooth as silk but sharp enough to cut. I raised an eyebrow. Do I look like someone who waters down whiskey? His eyes, dark, dangerous, absolutely devastating, locked onto mine. You look like someone who asks too many questions. And you look like someone who's had a rough night. I poured his drink, deliberately making it a double. Blood's not a great accessory, by the way. Very 2010. The corner of his mouth twitched. Almost a smile. Almost. It's not mine. Somehow, that doesn't make me feel better. He downed the whiskey in one go, set the glass down with a decisive clink, and leaned forward. What's your name? What's it worth to you? Everything or nothing. Depends on how this conversation goes. I should have walked away. Should have pretended I needed to check on other customers. Should have recognized the danger radiating off him like heat from asphalt in August. Instead, I said, Zoe. Zoe Chun. Zoe. He tested my name like he was tasting expensive wine. I'm Min-jun. Just Min-jun? No last name. If I told you my last name, I'd have to marry you. I laughed. Actual, genuine laughter. That's the worst pickup line I've ever heard. Who said I was picking you up? But his eyes said otherwise. 3 hours later, I was in his penthouse. 6 hours later, I was in his bed. And somewhere between the third round and the sunrise breaking over Seoul's skyline, I made the catastrophic mistake of falling for a man I knew absolutely nothing about. Except he was good with his hands. Very good with his hands. Stay, he murmured against my neck as dawn crept through his floor-to-ceiling windows. Can't. I have a class to teach at 9. Call in sick. Some of us have to work for a living, Mr. Just Min-jun. He pulled back, studying my face with an intensity that made my stomach flip. What if you didn't have to? Is this the part where you offer to be my sugar daddy? Because I should warn you, I'm expensive. I have opinions about thread count and cheese quality. I'm serious. So am I about the cheese. He kissed me then, slow, deep, the kind of kiss that makes you forget your own name. When he finally pulled away, he said, "Marry me." I burst out laughing. Okay, the sex was great, but you're insane. I'm completely sane. Marry me, Zoe Chun. You don't even know me. I know enough. You're funny. You're smart. You don't scare easily. And you're the first person in 5 years who's talked to me like I'm human instead of. He trailed off. Instead of what? His jaw tightened. It doesn't matter. Marry me. I'll make it worth your while. And because I was 27 and stupid and still drunk on the best sex of my life, I said, you know what? Sure. Why the hell not? We got married 3 days later at a courthouse, with 2 random witnesses pulled off the street. He slipped a platinum ring on my finger, Simple, elegant, probably cost more than my car back in the States. For 6 months, I lived in a fairy tale. Min-jun was attentive, generous, and surprisingly funny when he let his guard down. He took me to private island resorts, fed me strawberries in bed, and made love to me like I was the only thing keeping him tethered to earth. But he was also gone. A lot. Business trips, he'd say, kissing my forehead as he packed another sleek black suitcase. I didn't ask questions. Honestly, I didn't want to know. Until the night I found out exactly who I'd married. I was cleaning out his study, a room he'd explicitly told me never to enter, looking for a phone charger. In the bottom drawer of his desk, I found a file. My file. Every detail of my life. My birth certificate, my college transcripts, my credit score, my parents' address in California. Even photos of me from before we met. One was from my college graduation. Another from a coffee shop I frequented. He'd been watching me. Long before that night at the bar. My hands shook as I dug deeper. More files. Photos of men with X's marked through their faces. Financial records showing accounts in the Cayman Islands, Switzerland, Hong Kong. And at the very bottom, a Korean newspaper clipping with Min-jun's photo. My Korean was rusty, but I recognized enough characters to understand. Kong Min-jun, suspected head of Seoul's largest organized crime syndicate. I was married to a mobster. When he came home that night, I was sitting in the living room, his file on my lap. He froze in the doorway. For the first time since I'd known him, he looked afraid. Zoe, who are you? My voice was steady, but inside I was crumbling. Who the hell are you really? He closed the door behind him carefully. I'm the man who loves you. You're a criminal. Yes. At least he didn't lie. You've been spying on me. Since before we met. This whole thing, the bar, the meet-cute, the whirlwind romance, it was all planned, wasn't it? The surveillance was planned. Everything after that first conversation. He moved closer, cautiously, like I was a wild animal that might bolt. That was real. Every word, every touch, every... Stop. I held up a hand. Just stop. I can't do this. I can't be married to someone who kills people. I've never lied to you about who I am. You've never told me who you are. There's a difference. Silence stretched between us, thick and suffocating. Finally he said, What do you want, Zoe? Name it. A divorce. Something flickered in his eyes. Pain, maybe. Or relief. And $3 million. His eyebrows shot up. That's specific. $2 million for my student loans and my parents' mortgage. $1 million for emotional trauma and hazard pay for being married to a crime lord. To my shock, he nodded. Done. Just like that. Just like that. He pulled out his phone, made a call in rapid Korean. The money will be in your account by morning. My lawyer will have the papers ready by noon. It was too easy. Something was wrong. Why? I asked. Why did you marry me if you knew you'd let me go this easily? He looked at me then, really looked at me, and for a moment, I saw past the dangerous exterior to something raw and human underneath. Because for 6 months, I got to pretend I was someone worth loving. And you gave me that gift, even if you didn't know it. He signed the divorce papers without reading them. I took my $3 million and flew back to New York, blocked his number, and tried to forget the Korean Mafia boss who'd somehow made me believe in fairy tales. That was 6 months ago. Last night, someone slipped an envelope under my apartment door. Inside? A DNA test. And a note in Min-jun's handwriting, we need to talk about our daughter. But here's the thing that made my blood run cold, I don't have a daughter. So whose DNA was he testing? And why did it match mine? I stared at that envelope for 3 hours straight, sitting cross-legged on my hardwood floor like it might explode if I moved too fast. The DNA test was legit, from one of those fancy Korean medical facilities that celebrities use when they need paternity tests kept quiet. The results were clear, 99.9% match. Mother, Zoe Chun. Father, Kong Min-jun. Child's name, Kong Hannah. Age, 5 years old. I was 27. Which meant I would have been pregnant at 22, which was impossible because at 22 I was. Oh hell. My hands started shaking as I grabbed my phone and opened the calculator app, counting back. 5 years and 9 months ago, I'd been finishing my senior year of college. I'd donated eggs to pay for textbooks because student loans weren't covering everything and I was too proud to ask my parents for more money. They'd paid me $8,000. I'd signed away all parental rights. They'd promised the eggs would go to a loving family who couldn't conceive. They'd never mentioned that family might be Korean. Or that the father might be a mafia boss I'd eventually marry without knowing we already shared DNA in a petri dish somewhere. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. I usually don't answer those, but something, intuition, stupidity, destiny, made me swipe. Zoe. Minjun's voice poured through the speaker like expensive bourbon, smooth and burning all at once. How did you get my new number? Please. I run an international criminal organization. You think changing your number stops me? Stalking's not a great look on you. Neither is hiding my daughter from me. I stood up, pacing my tiny apartment. I didn't hide anything from you. I didn't even know she existed until your creepy envelope showed up. Silence on the other end. Then, what? I donated eggs in college, Minjun. For textbook money. I signed away all rights. I have no idea how your people got them, but I sure as hell didn't know you had a kid made from my DNA running around Seoul. More silence. I could practically hear him recalculating. You truly didn't know? Why would I lie? You already gave me $3 million. What more could I possibly want from you? My daughter wants to meet you. My heart stopped. Actually stopped. Excuse me. Hannah. She's 5. She's smart, funny, obsessed with butterflies and ice cream. And 3 months ago, she asked me why she didn't have a mother like the other kids at her private school. Oh God. Oh no. Minjun. I had my people search for any genetic connections. When your profile came up from that donation clinic, I thought. He exhaled sharply. I thought you'd sold your eggs and conveniently forgot to mention it during our marriage. I thought it was another secret. Another lie. So you decided to ambush me with DNA results instead of calling like a normal person? When have I ever been normal? Fair point. I can't do this, I said, even though my heart was already breaking for a little girl I'd never met. I signed away my rights. I'm not her mother. Legally, no. Biologically? Zoe, she has your eyes. Your smile. Your stubborn chin. Stop. She asked me last week if her mother didn't want her. Do you know what that does to a man? Watching his daughter think she's not good enough to be loved. Low blow. Very low blow. That's not fair. Life's not fair. But you could be. Just meet her. One time. Let her see that the woman who gave her life isn't a monster who abandoned her. I squeezed my eyes shut. And then what? I fly back to New York and she grows up knowing her biological mother met her once and left? That's worse, Minjun. That's so much worse. Then don't leave. My eyes snapped open. What? Come back to Seoul. Not for me, he added quickly. For Hannah. She needs a mother. She needs a mother, and you want me to just... What? Play house with my ex-husband and pretend we're a normal family. We were never normal. Exactly my point. He laughed. Actually laughed. God, I'd missed that sound. Zoe, I'm not asking you to marry me again. I'm asking you to give an innocent child one afternoon. If you meet her and decide you can't be in her life, I'll never contact you again. You have my word. Your word? The word of a crime boss. The word of a father who'd do anything for his daughter. Even beg his ex-wife. Damn him. Damn him for knowing exactly what to say. One afternoon, I said finally. That's it. And you're paying for my flight. First class. Done. I'll have tickets sent to your email within the hour. And Min-jun? If this is some elaborate scheme to get me back, I will destroy you. Noted. Though I should mention, destroying me is technically foreplay at this point. I hung up on him, but I was smiling. 3 days later, I was on a plane to Seoul, questioning every life choice that led to this moment. Min-jun sent a car to pick me up from Incheon Airport. Not just any car, a black Mercedes with tinted windows and a driver who looked like he could bench press a tank. Miss Chan, he said, opening the door with military precision. Mr. Kong is waiting. Of course he is. The drive to Min-jun's estate took 40 minutes. When I say estate, I mean a literal compound with security gates, guards, and gardens that probably had their own staff. The house itself was modern, all glass and clean lines, perched on a hillside overlooking Seoul. Min-jun was waiting on the front steps, and damn if he didn't look better than I remembered. Charcoal suit, no tie, top button undone. His hair was slightly longer, touching his collar. He looked tired but devastating. Zoe. He didn't move to hug me, just stood there drinking me in like I was water and he'd been dying of thirst. Min-jun. I kept my voice neutral. Professional. Like I was meeting a business associate and not the man who'd once made me scream his name in 3 different languages. How was your flight? Long. Where's Hannah? Inside with her nanny. I wanted to talk to you first. We talked on the phone. We argued on the phone. There's a difference. He gestured toward the house. Please. 5 minutes. Against my better judgment, I followed him inside. The house was stunning, minimalist furniture, artwork that probably cost more than my apartment, floor-to-ceiling windows everywhere. But what caught my attention were the toys scattered across the pristine living room. Building blocks, stuffed animals, picture books. Signs of life. Signs of a child. She's messy, Min-jun said, following my gaze. Drives the housekeeper insane. I love it. My heart clenched. You're a good dad. I'm trying to be. He poured 2 glasses of whiskey from a crystal decanter. I wasn't sure I could be. My father was not a good man. Is that why you do what you do? Following in family footsteps. He handed me a glass. It's why I'm trying to get out. I nearly dropped the whiskey. What? The organization. I've been working on an exit strategy for 2 years. Legitimate businesses, political connections, enough leverage to leave without getting killed. He took a sip. Hannah changed everything. I don't want her growing up like I did, wondering if her father's going to come home or end up in the Han River. Min-jun. I know what you're thinking. Once a criminal, always a criminal. Maybe you're right. But I'm trying, Zoe. For her. I studied his face, looking for the lie. I didn't find one. Why didn't you tell me this when we were married? Because I didn't know if I could trust you. And then when I realized I could, you'd already found the files and decided I was a monster. He set his glass down. I don't blame you for leaving. I blame myself for not being honest sooner. Before I could respond, a small voice called out, Appa. We both turned. Standing in the doorway was the most beautiful little girl I'd ever seen. Dark hair in pigtails, huge brown eyes, my eyes, and a smile that could light up Seoul. She wore a yellow dress with butterflies on it and clutched a stuffed rabbit to her chest. Hania, Min-jun said softly, crouching down. Come here, princess. She ran to him, and he scooped her up like she weighed nothing. When she turned to look at me, my breath caught. She looked exactly like the photos of me at that age. Is this her? Hannah whispered to Min-jun in Korean. Is this my Amma? Min-jun glanced at me, a question in his eyes. I could have corrected her. Could have said I was just a nice lady visiting. Could have protected myself from the inevitable heartbreak. Instead, I heard myself say in rusty Korean, Hi Hannah. I've been waiting to meet you for a very long time. Her smile could have powered the entire city. We spent the afternoon in the garden. Hannah showed me her butterfly collection, taught me a clapping game, and told me about her best friend at school who had 2 pet hamsters named Mochi and Sushi. She was perfect. Absolutely perfect. As the sun set, she fell asleep in my lap, her small hand clutching my finger. Minjun watched us from across the garden table, his expression unreadable. She likes you, he said quietly. I like her too. Zoe. Don't. I looked down at Hannah's sleeping face. Don't say whatever you're about to say. But he said it anyway. Stay. Not for me. For her. She needs you. I was about to answer when his phone buzzed. He glanced at it, and his entire body went rigid. What's wrong? He stood abruptly, already dialing a number. Take Hannah inside. Now. Minjun. Now Zoe. I'd never heard that tone from him before. Pure command. Pure danger. I scooped up Hannah. She mumbled but didn't wake, and hurried toward the house. Behind me, I heard Minjun speaking rapid Korean into his phone, his voice sharp as a knife. The nanny met me at the door, her face pale. Miss Chun, please come with me to the safe room. Safe room. That's when I heard the gunshots. The nanny, a woman in her 50s named Mrs. Park, grabbed my arm with surprising strength and yanked me through a doorway I'd assumed led to a coat closet. Instead, it opened to a steel staircase descending into what looked like a panic room straight out of a spy movie. Hannah stirred in my arms. Appa. Shoo, baby, it's okay, I whispered, my heart hammering. Your dad's just checking on something. Mrs. Park slammed the door behind us, and I heard multiple locks engage with heavy metallic clicks. The room was maybe 15 by 20 feet. Concrete walls, a few cots, shelves stocked with water and food, and a bank of security monitors showing different angles of the estate. On screen 3, I could see Minjun ducking behind a stone wall, gun in hand, returning fire at 3 figures in black tactical gear. Oh my God, I breathed. Standard protocol, Mrs. Park said calmly, like she dealt with active shootouts every Tuesday. Mr. Kong has security positioned around the perimeter. This will be handled quickly. Quickly. There are people shooting at the house. Miss Chun, please lower your voice. We don't want to frighten Hannah. Too late. Hannah's eyes were wide open now, but she didn't look scared. She looked bored. Is it the bad men again, Mrs. Park? She asked in Korean. Again. Yes, sweetheart. But your Appa will take care of it, just like always. I stared at this 5-year-old child who was apparently more accustomed to gunfights than I was to my morning coffee routine. What kind of life was this? On the monitors, Minjun moved with lethal precision. He wasn't panicking or fumbling. He was in his element. Calm, calculated, terrifying. He took down one attacker with 2 shots, then rolled behind a fountain as bullets sprayed where he'd been standing. He's going to get himself killed, I said, pressing closer to the screen. Mr. Kong has survived worse, Mrs. Park assured me. Hannah tugged on my shirt. Can you sing to me? I don't like the loud noises. She'd called me I sat down on one of the cots, settled her in my lap, and started singing the first song that came to mind. Some ridiculous nursery rhyme about a spider. My voice shook, but Hannah didn't seem to notice. She nestled against my chest, humming along. On the screens, Minjun's security team arrived. 6 men who looked like they ate bullets for breakfast. The firefight lasted another 3 minutes before silence fell. Bodies on the ground. Minjun standing, checking his clip, barking orders. The all clear came 10 minutes later. When the safe room door opened, Minjun stood there, suit jacket gone, blood splattered on his white shirt. His eyes found mine first, scanning me for injuries, then dropped to Hannah. Everyone okay? His voice was steady, but I could see the tremor in his hands. We're fine. You're bleeding. He glanced down at his shirt. It's not mine. That doesn't make it better. Hannah squirmed out of my lap and ran to him. Appa, you're messy. He scooped her up, burying his face in her hair. Sorry, princess. Appa had some work to do. Did you win? Always. She giggled, and the normalcy of it, this child treating a gunfight like her dad's regular Tuesday meeting, made me want to scream. Minjun's eyes met mine over Hannah's head. Mrs. Park, please take Hannah to her room. Bath and bedtime routine. Of course, Mr. Kong. Mrs. Park gently extracted Hannah, who waved at me as they left. Good night, Amma. Tomorrow can we see the butterflies again? I managed a smile. Yeah, baby. Butterflies tomorrow. When they were gone, the smile dropped off my face like a stone. What the hell? Minjun ran a hand through his hair. It's handled. Handled? Minjun, someone just shot up your house. With your daughter inside. With me inside. I know. And they're being dealt with. Dealt with? Right. Which means what, exactly? You're going to kill them. His silence was answer enough. I started pacing, adrenaline making my hands shake. This is insane. This whole situation is absolutely insane. You can't raise a child like this. You think I don't know that? His voice was sharp now, controlled fury breaking through. You think I want her growing up in a bunker every time rival organizations test my defenses? Then why? Why stay in this life if you know it's destroying her? Because getting out isn't as simple as writing a resignation letter, Zoe. There are protocols, negotiations, power vacuums that need filling. One wrong move and Hannah becomes leverage for every enemy I've ever made. He stepped closer, and I could smell gunpowder and his cologne. I'm working on it. But it takes time. How much time? How many more firefights does she have to hide from? I don't have an exact timeline. Then I'm taking her back to New York. He went very still. What? You heard me. Tomorrow, I'm taking Hannah back to the States where she can have a normal life. Go to normal schools. Not have PTSD by age 6. Over my dead body. That might be arranged sooner than you think if you keep living like this. We were inches apart now, both breathing hard, the space between us electric with anger and something else. Something dangerous. You don't get to make demands, he said quietly. You walked away, remember? Took your $3 million and ran. Because you lied to me. I never lied. I just didn't tell you everything. Same thing. Is it? He grabbed my wrist. Not hard, but firm enough to stop me from storming away. You want honesty, Zoe? Fine. Here's honest. I'm in love with you. Have been since the night you told me my pickup line was garbage and poured me a double anyway. I married you because I couldn't stand the thought of anyone else having you. And I let you go because I loved you enough to know you deserved better than this life. My heart stopped. Minjun. But Hannah needs you. Not me. You. Because when she's with you, she's not the mafia boss's daughter. She's just a kid. A happy kid. And I will burn down this entire organization before I let you take that away from her by disappearing again. I'm not disappearing. I'm trying to protect her. By taking her away from the only home she's ever known? From me. From bullets, Minjun. From a life where safe rooms are standard protocol. His jaw clenched. I can protect her. Can you? I yanked my wrist free. Because from where I'm standing, your protection plan involves hoping she sleeps through the gunfire. For a long moment, we just stared at each other. Then Minjun's phone buzzed. He glanced at it, his expression darkening. What now? The men who attacked. They weren't from a rival organization. Ice flooded my veins. Then who? They were freelancers. Hired by someone with a very specific target. His eyes met mine. You, Zoe. They were here to kill you. The security office was all screens and servers, with two of Minjun's men reviewing footage. One of them, a guy who introduced himself as Jay, pulled up a video. We interrogated the one who survived, Jay said. He gave up his employer pretty quickly once we explained the alternative. On screen, a beaten man sat in a chair, speaking rapidly in Korean. Minjun translated quietly. He says they were paid $500,000 to make it look like collateral damage in a hit on me. But the real target was the American woman. My stomach dropped. Why would anyone want me dead? I'm nobody. You're the mother of my child, Minjun said flatly. Which makes you a liability to certain people who don't want me to have reasons to go legitimate. I don't understand. He turned to face me fully. There are factions within my organization who profit from the criminal activities. If I leave, their revenue streams dry up. They've been sabotaging my exit strategy for months. And killing me helps them how? If you're dead, I have one less reason to walk away. Hannah has her nanny, her routine. But you. His voice softened. You're the variable they can't control. The one person who might actually convince me that normal life is possible. That's insane. That's organized crime. He gestured to Jay. Show her the rest. Jay pulled up another file, photos of me in New York. Getting coffee. Teaching a class. Walking into my apartment building. Someone had been following me for weeks. Oh my God. They were waiting for you to come to Seoul, Minjun said. Once you were here, on my territory, they could eliminate you without international complications. My legs went weak. I sat down hard in the nearest chair. So what now? I go back to New York and hope they don't follow? Hide forever? No. Minjun crouched in front of me, taking my hands. Now you stay here, where I can protect you. And I accelerate my timeline for getting out. Minjun. 2 months. Give me 2 months to dismantle the problematic factions, transfer legitimate operations, and remove any threats. Then we all leave. You, me, Hannah. Fresh start somewhere they can't reach us. You're asking me to trust you. I'm asking you to let me fix the mess I created. I looked into his eyes, those dangerous, beautiful eyes that had first captured me in a Seoul bar 18 months ago. He was a criminal. A killer. A man who'd lied by omission and stalked me before we even met. He was also a father who loved his daughter enough to walk away from power. And maybe, possibly, a man who loved me enough to risk everything. 2 months, I said. But we do this my way. His eyebrows rose. Your way. If I'm staying in this insane situation, then Hannah gets as much normalcy as possible. No more hiding. No more pretending everything's fine when men with guns show up. We tell her age-appropriate truths. And you, I poked his chest. Teach me how to defend myself. I'm not going into any more safe rooms without knowing how to fight back. A slow smile spread across his face. You want me to train you? Unless you'd prefer I hire someone else. Though I should warn you, I'm a terrible student. I ask annoying questions and make inappropriate jokes when I'm nervous. Sounds perfect. He stood, pulling me up with him. Training starts tomorrow at 6 a.m. 6 a.m. I take it back, you're a monster. You have no idea. But his eyes were warm, almost playful. Fair warning though, I'm a very hands-on instructor. Heat flooded my cheeks. Is that supposed to be a threat? It's a promise. That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay in the guest room Minjun had prepared, which was nicer than any hotel I'd ever stayed in, and stared at the ceiling. Around 2 a.m., I heard a soft knock. I opened the door to find Hannah standing there in butterfly pajamas, clutching her stuffed rabbit. Can't sleep, baby? She shook her head. Sometimes I have bad dreams after the loud noises. My heart broke. Want to sleep here with me? She nodded, and I lifted her into the bed. She curled against my side, small and warm and trusting. She whispered. Yeah. Are you going to leave again? I froze. What do you mean, again? Appa said you had to go away before. That you didn't know about me. But now you do know, so. Her voice got very small. Are you going to stay? I smoothed her hair back, feeling tears prick my eyes. I'm going to try very hard to stay, okay? You're Appa and I have some grown-up things to figure out, but I promise I'm not going to disappear. Okay. She snuggled closer. I love you, Amma. Just like that. No hesitation. No doubt. I love you too, Hannah. She fell asleep within minutes, but I stayed awake, listening to her breathe. Around 3 a.m., I felt another presence. Minjun stood in the doorway, backlit by the hall light. She has nightmares after incidents, he said quietly. Usually comes to my room. She came here instead. Yeah. Something raw crossed his face. She trusts you already. It took me 6 months to get her to sleep through the night without crying for a mother she'd never met. Minjun. He stepped into the room, standing at the foot of the bed. I meant what I said earlier. About being in love with you. That wasn't the adrenaline talking. I know. And I know I don't deserve a second chance. I know everything about this situation is completely insane. But Zoe, his voice cracked slightly. You're the first thing that's felt right in my life since my mother died. You and Hannah. You're my exit strategy. My reason for wanting better. I looked at him across the darkened room, this dangerous, complicated, impossible man who'd somehow become the center of my universe. Training at 6 a.m., I said softly. Don't be late. His smile could have lit up Seoul. He left, closing the door quietly. And I lay there in the dark, holding his daughter, wondering how the hell I'd ended up in a Korean Mafia boss's house, dodging assassins and falling in love all over again. My phone buzzed on the nightstand. A text from an unknown number. Cute kid. Be a shame if something happened to her. Below it, a photo of Hannah from this afternoon, playing in the garden. Someone had been inside the compound. After the attack. After security swept everything. They were still here. I didn't sleep after that text. Couldn't. Every shadow in the room looked like a threat. Every creak of the house settling made me hold Hannah tighter. At 5:45 a.m., I carefully extracted myself from the bed, tucked Hannah in, and crept downstairs with my phone clutched in my hand like a weapon. Minjun was already in what I can only describe as a private dojo, all mats and mirrors and equipment that looked vaguely medieval. He wore black training pants and a fitted t-shirt that should have been illegal. He turned when I entered, his expression shifting from focused to concerned in half a second. You look like hell. Good morning to you too. I held out my phone. Someone sent me a love letter last night. His jaw tightened as he read the message. Then tightened more as he scrolled to the photo. When he looked up, his eyes had gone flat and cold. The expression I imagined he wore when he did the things that made him a mafia boss. Jay! He barked. The security guy from last night appeared so fast I wondered if he'd been waiting outside. Minjun showed him the phone without a word. Jay's face went pale. Sir, I personally checked every inch of the grounds after. Then you missed something. Minjun's voice was deadly quiet. Find out how they got this photo. Find out who's still on my property. And Jay? When you find them, bring them to me alive. I want to have a conversation. The way he said conversation made my blood run cold. Jay disappeared, and Minjun turned back to me. You should have woken me immediately. You were asleep. And I was processing. Processing? Zoe, someone threatened my daughter. Our daughter, I corrected. And yeah, I'm aware. That's why I'm here at stupid o'clock in the morning, ready to learn how to break someone's face. Something flickered in his expression. Pride, maybe. You're serious about training? Deadly serious. Pun intended. He studied me for a long moment, then nodded. Okay. But we do this right. No half measures. If I'm teaching you to fight, you're going to learn to actually hurt someone. I once pepper sprayed a guy who grabbed my ass in a club. I think I can handle it. Pepper spray won't stop a professional killer. Then teach me what will. He smiled, sharp and dangerous. Come here. I walked onto the mat, and he circled me slowly, assessing. You're what, 5'6"? 5'7", thank you very much. And maybe 130 pounds. Are you seriously asking a woman her weight right now? I'm assessing your physical capabilities against likely opponents. Most of the men who might come after you will outweigh you by 50 to 100 pounds and have significant reach advantage. Well, when he put it that way. So what you're saying is I'm screwed. I'm saying you need to be smarter, faster, and more vicious than they are. He stopped in front of me. The good news? Women are naturally better at using an attacker's momentum against them. You're not trying to overpower someone. You're trying to disable them long enough to run or get to a weapon. Okay. So where do we start? We start with you trying to hit me. I blinked. What? Throw a punch. Right at my face. As hard as you can. Min-jun. Do it, Zoe. I swung at him. He didn't even move his feet, just tilted his head and my fist sailed past his ear. Again. I tried harder. He blocked with his forearm, barely any effort. Again. This time I feinted left and swung right. He caught my wrist mid-air, twisted, and suddenly I was face down on the mat with my arm locked behind my back. Okay, point made, I gasped. I suck at this. You don't suck. You're untrained. He released me, helped me up. But you've got good instincts with that feint. We can work with that. For the next hour he taught me the basics, how to make a proper fist without breaking my thumb, where to aim for maximum damage, eyes, throat, groin, the greatest hits, how to use my elbows and knees when someone got too close. Most self-defense classes teach you to go for the groin first, he said, demonstrating a knee strike in slow motion. But men expect that. They protect it. You know what they don't expect. What? He tapped his nose. Palm strike here, driving up. Breaks the nose, causes instant tears and disorientation. Then, he dropped his hand to my throat, not touching but close enough I felt the threat. Throat punch. Crushes the trachea. They can't breathe, they can't chase you. Jesus, Min-jun. You wanted to learn how to fight back. This is how you fight back. His hand dropped. In a real situation, there's no rules. No referee. Just you and someone who wants to hurt you. So you hurt them first, hurt them worse, and you survive. The intensity in his voice made me shiver. This was the man he kept hidden, the one shaped by violence and survival. Show me again, I said. The palm strike. He did, and I practiced the motion. Again. And again. Until my arms burned. Good, he said finally. Now let's work on situational awareness. Close your eyes. Why? Because most attacks happen when you're not paying attention. Close them. I did. Immediately felt vulnerable. Listen, he said, his voice moving around the room. What do you hear? Your footsteps. The air conditioning. Birds outside. Good. Now I'm going to touch you. The second you feel contact, you react. Palm strike, throat punch, whatever feels natural. Ready. Wait, you're actually going to. His hand brushed my shoulder. Instinct kicked in. I spun arm up and stopped just short of his face. Yes. He caught my wrist, grinning. That's exactly right. Your body knows what to do when you stop overthinking. We were close now. Very close. His hand still wrapped around my wrist, my other hand pressed against his chest. I could feel his heartbeat, steady and strong. Zoe, he said quietly. Don't. Don't what? Don't look at me like that. Like you want to. He kissed me. And damn if I didn't kiss him back. It was different from before, more desperate, more real. His hands slid into my hair, and I gripped his shirt, pulling him closer. We'd done this before, hundreds of times during our marriage, but this felt like the first time. Like we were both finally admitting what we'd been dancing around. This is a terrible idea, I gasped when we broke apart. Worst idea ever, he agreed, kissing down my neck. There are people trying to kill me. Extremely bad timing. And Hannah's upstairs. That stopped him. He pulled back, breathing hard. You're right. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have. I kissed you back, Min-jun. That's on both of us. I stepped away, trying to get my brain to restart. But we can't do this. Not now. Not with everything. Appa. We both jumped. Hannah stood in the doorway in her butterfly pajamas, rubbing her eyes. "Morning, princess," Minjun said smoothly, like he hadn't just been kissing me breathless 30 seconds ago. "You're up early." I woke up and Amma was gone. Her lower lip trembled. I thought she left. My heart shattered. I crossed to her and scooped her up. "No, baby. I was just learning how to exercise with your dad. I'm not going anywhere. Promise." I glanced at Minjun over her head. He was watching us with an expression I couldn't quite read, longing mixed with fear mixed with hope. "I promise," I said. "How about we make breakfast? Do you like pancakes?" Her whole face lit up. "With chocolate chips? Is there any other kind?" The kitchen was enormous and intimidating, all professional-grade appliances and marble countertops. Hannah sat on a stool, swinging her legs and chattering about her favorite foods while I searched for ingredients. Minjun leaned against the counter, watching us with that same unreadable expression. "You don't have to stay," I said, measuring flour. "I'm sure you have mob stuff to do." "Mob stuff?" "You know, illegal activities. Breaking kneecaps. Whatever it is you do all day." Hannah giggled. "Appa works in an office now. He says the breaking kneecaps business is bad for his back." I nearly dropped the bowl. "Hannah." Minjun had the grace to look embarrassed. She asked what I did for work. I may have been too honest. "You told her you break people's kneecaps?" "In the past tense. And I explained it was wrong and I don't do it anymore." "Oh well, that makes it totally fine then." Hannah watched our bickering like it was a tennis match, grinning. "You sound like my friend Mina's parents. They argue but then they kiss and everything's okay." Minjun and I both froze. "We're not." I started. "Your mother and I aren't." Minjun tried. "Are you dating?" Hannah asked bluntly. "No," we said in unison. She didn't look convinced. "But you like each other." "It's complicated," I said. "That's what Mina's parents said before they got married." Minjun coughed, hiding a laugh. I threw a dish towel at his head. "Pancakes," I said firmly. "We're making pancakes. That's it. No more relationship interrogation from the 5-year-old. "I'm very mature for my age," Hannah said seriously. "I can tell." We made pancakes, slightly burnt on one side because I got distracted when Minjun stood too close while reaching for the chocolate chips, his arm brushing mine. Hannah didn't seem to mind the burnt parts. She devoured 3 pancakes and then demanded we put on the butterfly movie. "She means a documentary," Minjun translated. "She's obsessed with monarch migration patterns." Of course she was. His daughter was a tiny genius. We ended up on the couch, Hannah between us, watching butterflies migrate across the screen. She fell asleep halfway through, her head on my lap, her feet on Minjun's. "She does this," he said quietly. "Falls asleep during every documentary. But she gets mad if we don't finish them." "So we're stuck here?" "Looks like it." We sat in comfortable silence, the documentary narrator droning on about chrysalises and metamorphosis. Minjun's hand rested on Hannah's ankle, protective even in sleep. "Thank you," he said finally. "For what?" "For staying. For trying. For giving her a chance to know you." His eyes met mine. "I know this isn't what you signed up for." "Minjun, when I signed up for anything with you, I had no idea what I was getting into. This whole situation is bananas." "Bananas." "Completely insane. 0 out of 10, would not recommend to a friend." He smiled. "And yet you're still here." "And yet I'm still here." I looked down at Hannah's peaceful face. "She's worth it. You both are. Even if you did ambush me with DNA tests and assassination attempts." In my defense, I didn't plan the assassination attempts. True. Those were a surprise bonus. His phone buzzed. He checked it, his expression darkening. "What?" "Jay found something. Security footage from last night." He carefully extracted himself from the couch. I need to check this. Will you? We're fine. Go. He hesitated, then leaned down and kissed my forehead. It was such a casual gesture, so domestic, that it made my chest ache. When he left, I sat there with his daughter asleep in my lap, wondering how I'd gone from broke English teacher to fake mom in a mafia household in less than a week. My phone buzzed. Another unknown number. Cute scene. Too bad it won't last. Below it, a photo of us on the couch, taken from outside the window. I didn't panic. Didn't scream. Couldn't. Not with Hannah sleeping. Instead, I carefully slid out from under her, tucked a pillow under her head, and walked very calmly to Minjun's office. He was watching security footage with Jay, both men's faces grim. We have a problem, I said. Minjun looked up. What? I showed him the phone. The temperature in the room dropped about 20 degrees. That's from 5 minutes ago, Jay said, checking the timestamp. Which means they're still here. Minjun stood. Lockdown protocol. Now. Alarms started blaring. Heavy shutters rolled down over the windows with mechanical precision. Doors locked automatically throughout the house. Sir, the photo angle suggests they're in the East Gardens. Send a team. I want them alive. Jay rushed out. Minjun turned to me, and for the first time since I'd known him, I saw real fear in his eyes. Where's Hannah? Living room sleeping. We both ran. The living room was empty. The documentary was still playing. The pillow where Hannah's head had been was still warm. But Hannah was gone. On the coffee table, a note in Korean. Minjun picked it up with shaking hands. What does it say? I asked, though I already knew. Already felt it in my bones. Minjun's voice was hollow. They have her. And they want you in exchange. I'd never seen Minjun lose control before. Not when we fought. Not during the gunfight yesterday. Not even when I told him I wanted a divorce. But watching him read that note, he shattered. He swept everything off the coffee table in one violent motion. Remotes, magazines, a vase that exploded against the wall. Then he just stood there, chest heaving, hands clenched into fists. Minjun. I had 30 men on this property. His voice was raw, ragged. 30. And they just walked in and took her. Jay burst back into the room, tablet in hand. Sir, we found how they got in. There's a drainage tunnel from the eastern perimeter that wasn't on the original property blueprints. It leads directly under the house. Show me. Jay pulled up schematics. Sure enough, a thin line snaked from outside the compound wall to a point directly beneath the living room. How long has that been there? I asked. Based on the construction style, probably built in the 1970s. This estate has changed hands 6 times. Someone could have used it for smuggling and never disclosed it. Minjun's jaw worked. They've been planning this for weeks. The attack yesterday was a distraction. Make us think we'd won, that we were safe, while they set up the real play. What does the note say exactly? I asked. Word for word. He handed it to me. I couldn't read Korean, but Jay translated, "We have the butterfly girl. You have something we want. Trade at the old fish market, Pier 7, midnight. She comes alone, no weapons, no wire. Or the girl dies in pieces." My stomach turned over. Butterfly girl. They know she loves butterflies. Which means they've been watching for a long time, Minjun said. His voice had gone cold now, clinical. The emotion locked back behind steel. They know our routines. Our security patterns. Everything. So what do we do? I was surprised by how steady my voice was. Inside, I was screaming. But Hannah needed me calm. Do we call the police? Both men looked at me like I'd suggested we summon a unicorn. Right. No police. Stupid question. I started pacing. Okay. So they want me. Fine. I go. We make the trade. Absolutely not, Minjun said. It's not up for debate. Zoe. She is 5 years old, Minjun. And she's only in danger because of me. Because I came here. Because someone thinks killing me will keep you in the organization. I stopped pacing, met his eyes. I'm going. You can either help me survive it, or I go in blind. Your choice. There has to be another way. Then tell me what it is. Tell me how we get her back without giving them what they want. Silence. Because there wasn't another way. Not one that guaranteed Hannah's safety. Finally, Minjun said, if you're going, we do it my way. Full surveillance, backup teams positioned around the perimeter, trackers in your clothes. The note said no wire. They said no wire. They didn't say no tracker. He turned to Jay. Get me the micro GPS units. The ones that register as clothing fasteners on scanners. Sir, even with tracking, if they take her to a secondary location. Then we follow. We track. We extract. His voice was pure command now. I want 3 sniper teams positioned with clear lines of sight on Pier 7. I want divers in the water. I want every vehicle within a 2-block radius identified and tracked. And Jay? I want to know who we're dealing with. Run the handwriting on that note through analysis. Cross-reference with every known associate who has access to our security schedules. Jay nodded and disappeared. Minjun turned back to me. You have 8 hours until midnight. We're going to spend every second of that time preparing you. Preparing me how? Teaching you how not to die. The next 8 hours were the longest of my life. Minjun's preparation involved learning how to conceal a ceramic blade in my bra. They'll check everywhere else, but men are cowards about thorough pat-downs. Memorizing hand signals for his team. 2 fingers means hostage clear, fist means abort. And practicing how to fall without breaking bones. When the shooting starts, and it will start, you hit the ground. I thought you said no weapons, I said, eyeing the tiny blade. I said they told you no weapons. I never agreed to honor that request. He demonstrated how to access the blade quickly. It's last resort only. If someone grabs you, if you're in immediate danger, you go for the throat or the femoral artery. The what now? He tapped his inner thigh. Major artery. Slice here, they bleed out in minutes. I felt sick. Minjun, I don't know if I can. You can. He grabbed my shoulders, forcing me to meet his eyes. Because if it comes down to you or them, you will survive. For Hannah. Understand? I nodded, not trusting my voice. Around 6 p.m., Mrs. Park brought food. I couldn't eat. Minjun pushed a plate toward me anyway. You need energy. I need Hannah back. Then eat. Fainting in the middle of a hostage exchange helps no one. I forced down some rice and chicken, every bite tasting like cardboard. At 9 p.m., Jay returned with results. The handwriting analysis is inconclusive, but we identified the paper. It's from a legal office, Kim and Associates in Gangnam. They handle corporate law, but also some less legitimate business arrangements. Who's the principal? Minjun asked. Attorney Kim Sung-ho. He's represented several people in your organization over the years. Minjun's expression went dangerous. Kim. That makes sense. He's been opposed to my exit strategy from the beginning. Stands to lose significant retainer income if we go legitimate. You think a lawyer orchestrated this? I asked. Lawyers know how to hide their tracks. They also know exactly which crimes to commit that are hard to prosecute. He looked at Jay. Put surveillance on Kim's office and home. I want to know every person he's contacted in the last month. Already on it, sir. At 11 p.m., we left for the fish market. The ride there was silent. I sat in the back of an armored SUV, Minjun beside me, his hand gripping mine so tightly I was losing circulation. But I didn't pull away. If something goes wrong, he started. Nothing's going wrong. Zoe, listen to me. If something goes wrong, if it looks like they're not going to honor the trade, you run. You don't wait for me. You don't try to be a hero. You run, and my men will cover you. I'm not leaving without Hannah. Yes, you are. Because one of you surviving is better than both of you dying. I turned to look at him. Really look. He'd put on a bulletproof vest under his jacket, checked his weapons 3 times, and barked orders at his team with military precision. But underneath all that control, he was terrified. Hey, I said softly. We're getting her back. Both of us. Together. You don't know that. I know you. You don't lose. It's literally your entire personality. That surprised a laugh out of him, short and sharp but real. My entire personality? Arrogant, controlling, refuses to accept defeat even when he should. Sound familiar? You forgot devastatingly handsome. That's implied. He kissed me then, quick and hard and desperate. When this is over, he said against my lips, we're having a very long conversation about us. Is that a threat or a promise? Both. The SUV stopped. We'd arrived. The old fish market was exactly as creepy as it sounds. Abandoned warehouses, rusted equipment, and the smell of sea salt and decay. Pier 7 extended into the dark water, lit by a single flickering streetlight. Minjun's team had arrived an hour earlier, positioning themselves in the shadows. I couldn't see them, but I knew they were there. Snipers on the warehouse roofs. Divers in the water. Men in vehicles ready to pursue. You have your tracker? Minjun asked for the 5th time. I patted the button on my jacket. Got it. And the blade. Secured. And you remember the signals? 2 fingers fist, yes. Minjun, I've got this. He cupped my face. I'm going to be watching every second. Anything feels wrong, you signal. Promise me. I promise. And Zoe? I love you. In case I don't get another chance to say it. My throat closed. You're going to get 1,000 more chances. So save it for when we're celebrating. I kissed him once more, then turned and walked toward the pier. 3 weeks later, I was sitting in Minjun's home office watching him dismantle a criminal empire via video conference calls and legal documents. Before you go, tell me the truth. Did this story deliver? Did you make it all the way to the end? If you enjoyed it, comment part 2 right now. And let me know, are you team 11111 Minjun? Do you want a sequel about Hannah as a teenager, growing up inside her parents' chaotic, scandalous love story? If the comments are loud enough, part 2 drops. Subscribe for more mafia romance with real character growth, and like if you're done with toxic alphas and ready for men who heal, communicate, and fight for love. You're the real MVPs. Thank you for riding with me. See you in part 2.